Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the show. We're so excited to have you and to introduce you to a very special guest. My friend and a fellow smart cookie, Leon McDonald. Leon is a portrait photographer based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, and he's committed to creating the best photograph of yourself that you've ever seen. Really, truly, you should fly out and check him out if you're not nearby. His priority, he says, is to work with glamour, beauty, or business photos that really elevate and highlight all that is you. He's been doing this for about 10 years and has really been paying attention to that exact market for quite some time now. And I can't wait for you to hear how he does just that. Leon, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you always. So let's begin the show the way I like to with all of my guests. How would you finish the sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
Well, you can't stop thinking about prospective clients.
Yeah.
For me,
Right.
it's hard to turn my mind off. I talk to my wife all the time about being present. So we're working on that. It's a work in progress. But yeah, just thinking about, where your next client is going to come from, or just thinking about ways in which you can, provide more for your clients, create a better client experience. Or marketing. I think about marketing quite a bit as well.
I got to know first, there's got to be a story about how to be more present. How are you doing that? Tell
Yeah.
us. We all need to know a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think just being super intentional about the use of time and being balanced when it comes to just like clients and receiving, emails. You've experienced this. The email come through, it's like keeping the device, in its place away from you when you're somewhere else. And you can do all those tangible things, but I think it's like sometimes mentally, I see content everywhere. I'm looking around when I'm out. There's an opportunity to market. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. So I'm taking mental notes, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I have to just turn it off sometimes.
Right.
Just intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I find that one of my things, because I like to listen to podcasts, surprise
Mhm,
folks. But I
mhm.
find one of the things is a business podcast will get me like charged up and be like, oh my gosh, this or that. And so on purpose, I can't listen to those when I'm around family. Like if it's supposed to be family time, even if we're like, driving for a bit or the kids are napping in the car, like, nope, I got to go to like a true crime or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ways to
yeah,
stay present for sure. Oh my
for
goodness.
sure.
Okay. So tell me, what's your story? What led you to know that this would be your life's work, that entrepreneurship, business ownership, and even photography?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, I think it started when I was much younger. I always had a fascination with faces, with people. And I remember my grandmother had a subscription to a National Geographic magazine. I would see all these images of people in particular all around the world. So obviously with National Geographic, you have the nature photos and things like that. But sometimes you'd have a segment that focused on people, like maybe indigenous people in certain areas. And I remember looking at some of those images and seeing the people and thinking in some cases that I knew the people that I was looking at, but it was a portrait of obviously a stranger, someone I had never met and would never meet. But I remember having an impact on me as a young person. But I never would have imagined that I'd be doing this for work. So fast forward several years later, I worked with a local company here in Cincinnati called LPK, and they're a brand management company. So in my work in IT in that company, I spent a lot of time around creatives for the first time. And so I got to learn a little bit more about printing, about, photography, about products and how those things are packaged and comps and all these other things. And it created a creative spark in me at that time. And from there, I just, started on my journey towards becoming a portrait photography eventually. But of course, like many photographers, I started off as a wedding photographer and then eventually,
Bless
eventually
your
kind of,
heart.
yeah, yeah. And you know what? I tell people all the time that I had great experiences as a wedding photographer. I never really had any of those situations where like my brides were, bridezillas. I mean, great people, but I worked with great couples. It was something about that one-on-one, contact that I kind of wanted to focus
Yeah.
on as opposed
Yeah.
to the chaos of the wedding day.